Welcome back to the Catch a Pass podcast, episode 7. We've got a quick intro of the show. We're a man down. Dave's out for a couple of weeks, so we've got a couple of special guests on. We'll get to Brett in a minute. We've got a round wrap-up, standout moments from the round, new rule, game to game, top 3 5/8s, and round 12 tips. Rightio, episode 7. Like I said before, we got a man down for a couple of weeks. Dave's got some work commitments he has to go to. So we've got in this week one of our arguably biggest fans and or critics, Brett Gilmore.
Got to be at both.
How you going, mate? How's things?
Good. Excited to be filling in. Get the nerves in front of the multiple viewers, mum and dad, basically.
You are a part of one of the most elite NRL podcasts going around at the moment, so I can understand.
Yeah, I don't even think that's arguable.
So we'll get straight into it. Round wrap-up for round 11, was it?
Yeah.
I think. Round 11. So this week we're just going to sort of go through the games fairly quickly. We won't give a 3-hour rundown on each game. So Thursday night we had Cowboys and Knights. Cowboys got up 36-20. Warriors Friday night 30-26 over the Tigers. Also Friday night, close one with the Dragons and Sharks. Sharks getting up. I think they went to Golden Point, 13-12. Saturday we had the Titans and the Bulldogs 30-20 to the Titans. Massive, probably the biggest upset of the year, potentially. Broncos and Roosters. Broncos got up 34-16. Massive win for them. Last game for Saturday, Storm got up over the Raiders 34-10. Raiders again gave up a lead to get run down. First game on Sunday, big win for Penrith, 56-12 over the Bunnies, and the final game for the round was 28-6 to Manly over Parramatta, which probably not a massive upset, but I think most people thought Parramatta probably have it. Yeah, much closer than it was. Turbo just turns out to be the biggest freak. Yeah, again, leading them to a victory. So I'll move on to our standout moments of the round. Everyone's going to go through, give us one moment that they thought was the standout. So we'll start with the new guy, Brett. It's yours, mate.
Right. So for me would be Victor Radley's, I'd say moments of madness. Amazing to watch. Even as a Broncos supporter, I absolutely loved it and did not want to see him binned at all. Even there were penalties for the shot on Kelly, the little battle when he went after TPJ after his terrorizing Walker. But, you know, that was just a cut back to defending your half. Went crazy. I mean, with a shot where he ran out, where he was literally in line with Turpin as Turpin was touching the ball and Reddy just destroyed Coates.
That was bad, yeah.
That was insane.
But the weirdest thing was, like, you saw the whistle, he called him out, but when they blew the penalty, they said it was for the stuff on the ground. So,
yeah, that's it. When I was watching that, I was thinking the offside, yeah, for sure, but
by 7 meters.
But everything else, I was like, oh, that's okay. But
that's fine. I mean, you should be rewarded for smashing Coates, but he barely touched him. Well, yeah, turn Coates. He barely touched him on the ground. They're saying, "Oh, rub the head, or something, contact with the head's." Like, no, but there
was nothing in it.
No, Radley. That was it's. I would have loved to see him in Origin. I really do. Even I don't like the Roosters or the Blues. He's a great person to watch, and that was really good to watch.
Just turned the game into a bit of a bummer, didn't it? Because it was a really good contest, and especially when you get those one-on-ones sort of eventuate through the game.
Yeah.
And obviously he's going after Walker. He ran over him a million times.
Mm.
And then for him to come back and start putting on hits, it was just like
it just came out that he's copped 5 weeks for his 4 reports.
Yeah, insane.
it's
crazy.
Off the charts.
I legit thought that the majority of these high shots or contact with the head reports were going to be just like monetary fines. I didn't think that they would go to the extent of having such long stints on the sideline.
Then you just get the clubs paying them, and there'd be no penalty to the players.
Yeah. Revenue raising. Fuckers.
And then the Roosters Leagues Club has 400 more pokies next week.
The brewery just gets bigger.
Yeah.
Nick Politis gets an extra story on his house.
Do you guys see Angus Crichton down at City Ford selling cars?
Paying off that fine from last
week.
What's yours, Brad?
My man Murray Tuilagi from the Cowboys, hat trick. Awesome. Haven't had many hat trick scorers from the Cowboys over the years, but just good. He's just big. He's strong. He's not super fast, but he broke some tackles to get there on one of those tries especially. But also, I got a second one as well, and it's probably it's just quickly Schuster for the Seagulls. How good is he at halfback? Like, I'd be inclined to put Foran in at 14 just to play limited minutes, just to keep Schuster on the field, because I think 3 try assists. It was awesome.
Well, and Foran's just so injury prone too.
And I'm not sure how much truth there is in this, but I was watching NRL 360, and apparently the late Bozo Fulton picked Schuster out of the high schools and
oh really?
Told Manly about him. So yeah.
Oh, that's hectic. No wonder he had a good game then.
Yeah, exactly.
Cowboys had a good solid win too over the Knights.
Look, I wouldn't call it solid. We were up 14 or 16-0. And then we had, in no particular order, Burr and Taumalolo get binned. And then it was 16 all at half time. And then we turned up in the second half and finished them off. But
stringing some wins together, but
getting some wins where it matters, man. That's we got Auckland Warriors this weekend, so we'll see what happens there. But the Cowboys definitely let the Knights off the hook there.
Especially through this sort of coming into the mid of the season, it's really important to start getting some wins put together too. Otherwise, you end up falling too far behind with not enough rounds to catch up.
Yep, exactly.
What's yours, Stocksy?
I'm going with Reece Walsh. He had a blinder for the Warriors. Still pretty pleased that the Broncos pushed him out the door.
Overrated.
But he showed up. He got a decent try. He got 3 try assists. I think he might have got a line break or 2 and a few line break assists. But apart from his stats, don't really show the dominance he had on that game. I think he just sort of just had total control for an 18-year-old who's come in to replace one of the best fullbacks in the game, and he's just sort of jumping around the field doing whatever he wants, and it's pretty insane to see a kid that young taking control of the game like that. And then he got a bit of a bake from Nathan Brown after the game too. Like, I think he just doesn't want him to get a big head or anything. He sort of reckons he wasn't even best on ground, like according to the coach. So
good coaching.
Well, I think he said something like the media will only focus on the good things that he does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see where he's coming from.
Definitely.
I mean, I reckon he definitely would have had a word to him before he went out and said that publicly. Said, look, I'm going to say this. I mean, because he comes out next week and has like a Sam Walker game versus the Broncos where he gets run over. Then the story's going to come out, is he being rushed and stuff like that. So I reckon that comment was trying to protect him a little bit, and you can understand it.
It's good though, yeah. It is refreshing to see these young guys coming through. I feel like there was like a bit of a lull sort of over a 3 or 4 year period a little while ago where everyone was sort of like, oh, like, what are we going to do? Like, there's no one really coming through, especially with halfbacks and playmakers. But
Are you building up to say except Cleary, or we just keep listening and there's nothing coming, or
except Cleary, obviously.
Well, Cleary's the all-around package. He even throws a good party in the middle of COVID restrictions and stuff too, doesn't it? Like,
And doesn't even catch COVID. What kind of guy? Unbelievable.
yeah.
Probably caught something else though. Looking at him.
He's not on the Tyrone May level of party yet, but
Keeps that phone in his pocket.
yeah,
My
Yeah.
standout for the week was I'll go another hat trick, Matt Burton.
well, that's original.
And mostly only because he's they played in Dubbo and he's from Dubbo, so the crowd were going spastic every time he went over. So that was good to see.
God, he's quick, man.
Dude,
Wow.
I'm stinging that he's going to the Bulldogs, bro.
He is
stinging.
deceivingly quick. Like, he's got some wheels on him, that's for sure.
He's tall as fuck, man. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like he looks sort of like not as big as what he is. But look at his legs, man. He's like thick, long.
All right, anyway, this is getting a little bit homoerotic.
As that was coming out of my mouth, I'm like, man, this is getting weird.
Just want to grab him by the headgear and fucking
Oh,
fuck him.
100%. I wouldn't be the one doing the bucket, I'll tell you that. I'll be getting bucked.
Anyway, I'll start recording the pod now.
All right, we'll move on to
Going to be charged by the
Obviously-
minute at this rate.
obviously the biggest talk point at the moment is the new rules that are coming out. Don't want to probably harp on it too much, but it's obviously, like I said before, it's the biggest thing going around. We saw that Radley got his 4 or 5 week suspension from it. Plenty of innings still. Although I felt like the two standout games were Roosters and Broncos had 2 apiece as far as binnings go, and Eels and Manly. The Roosters and Broncos probably more of a standout because everyone's going on about it, and off the back of Radley being binned more than once and getting his suspensions.
Do you know what's funny
But-
about that, man?
Yeah.
Is that week one, after week one of these rules, where there was 13 sin bins, 3 send offs, and whatnot.
Yeah.
Everyone in the media and the NRL commission and everything are all saying, "Well, this is it. The players are just going to have to get used to it. That's the way it's going to be." Then the Broncos beat the fucking Roosters, and then everyone's like, "Oh, something's got to change here. This is bullshit." And it's like fucking National Roosters League, mate.
But I mean, I don't even think that was like. I don't think it impacted the game that much. I think they had 2 apiece, so it was like even as far as
Oh,
the
the
sin binnings go. They
Gamble
were
got
probably
Gamble
what,
got
a minute to go for holding down.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
half the
yeah,
game was
that's
over.
true,
So
actually. Yeah, that's true.
It-
But I mean, I
it's-
don't think it changed the game. I think
Well, that's it. I mean,
Broncos
well-
just outplayed them.
Lodge's sin binning was just as bullshit as most of Radley's
Yeah.
ones.
But I mean, if you look at the Lodge binning, the ref, I'm pretty sure penalised Tavita. That's how confident he was of a binning. But compare his to the 2 that Manu did, where all he caught was a penalty.
That's the
I
thing,
mean,
yeah.
Tell me that the reason that Manu didn't get binned twice is because Radley had already gone twice and no Bronco had. That
Yeah.
was 100% just a level up.
It has to affect it. It has to 100%.
The referee did keep the Broncos in the game, so I'm not going to cry too much. Like, the refereeing in that game was horrendous.
Well, that's
but
the thing. I
It went
bring up
both
is-
ways though, because you saw what's his name, Kenyon Palacia's try
Yep.
off a massive forward pass, but then on the flip side, I think it was Tupou's try came off the back of that obstruction. Oh, not the escort penalty,
Yes,
which
Yeah.
was also a complete dog shit penalty. Like there was no escort there.
the refs are definitely treading on eggshells, and I do not feel for them,
Mm.
but I also do feel for them in that they got a lot of decisions to make every minute of those games. There's like 100 decisions they have to make.
I felt for him after Magic Round because I thought that going into that round there was a shitload of pressure put on him. It was obviously
Yeah.
everyone there's a whole lot of buzz going around Magic Round. Everyone's watching this whole
Yeah.
stuff. This week, not so much because you look at the reffing in the Penrith Bunnies game. There was 20 penalties. The majority of those were for high shots, 0 sin binnings.
You know
So,
my favorite. You know my
It's
That
all
favorite.
game
about
was
the
refereed
ref.
well.
Yeah,
The-
really well.
I think it was
So-
Atkins.
Yeah, Grant Atkins.
Grant Atkins,
He's a good ref, and the best moment of refereeing in that game
Josh
was
Mansell.
where Josh Mansell fucking sprays the touchy.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Atkins calls him over and tells him to fuck up. and then he's like, sorry. And I was like, yeah, fuck you, man. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he
He's
was good. That game.
probably one of the
Got-
better
got his
refs
grub
getting
ways from
around
Penrith.
at the moment.
He's a friend's
So-
a friend, actually.
Please.
Yeah, Grant Atkins,
Atkins.
Grant Atkins, Sutton, and Cummins are top three. That's just the way it is.
Get Atkins into Origin if he's gonna ref a game like that.
Oh,
The Panthers
yeah,
Rabbitohs.
Yep.
Make him
but
do
we
Origin.
Know, but we know it's going to be Sutton. Every time. He just gets picked every time.
Well, his brother's not the boss
Yeah,
anymore.
that is true.
I'm
Well,
okay
that's
with
true,
Sutton.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
I hate Sutton, man.
I'm on the Atkins
Yeah, but
bandwagon.
you're a
Big
Canberra
time.
supporter. You heard all the refs.
Who's that guy with the moustache? I think he was the one that in the Broncos
Did
game.
Broncos game? Yeah, he's new. Like I think only the last 2 years.
Oh
Yeah,
man, he's
He
one
loves
of the
the whistle.
worst getting around at the moment.
he looks
It's
lost.
too.
You see that you see that with an inexperienced ref that they tend to want to put their stamp on the game a bit. They want to say, "Look, I'm in charge here. You may not know who I am, but this is the way it's going to go." And I feel that was what happened a fair bit in that game.
I feel like that, and they've been given sort of a left and right of arc of the rule, and instead of putting some sort of common sense and experience towards that thing, he's just been like, bang, this is just a blanket thing. Doesn't matter what happens, someone's going to the bin. Whereas the more experienced refs
but that's not what
calm
he did.
down a little bit.
But that's not what he did because he let Manu off. And it was just inconsistent. That was the problem.
He let the game dictate his decision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not good enough either way.
Yeah, and he's calling penalties that weren't there. He's leaving penalties. He's leaving shit out that was there. He's sending people for 10 when they shouldn't have gone. He's leaving people on the field that should have gone in the bin. And it was just all over the shop.
I mean,
not
the
first
touch judges
game
were.
I've seen him do that either. He's been rubbish in a lot of games, especially like obviously this weekend and last weekend. Shocking.
That's not to say that the Broncos wouldn't have won that game anyway. We're 100% going to win that.
I don't think that the refereeing had the impact on it. I think the Broncos just outplayed them. But
Yeah.
what were you saying about touches, bro?
Oh, it was basically the Denver Broncos out there. Like the amount of forward passes that they missed, ridiculous. Like I was just watching the game, I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to complain about it, but there was some shockers.
Speaking of that, there's actually they're bringing in technology to be able to figure out on a video with forward passes. So like that sort of brings up the question is like, can we just get rid of touches then? Like they're going to be completely obsolete except for like ruling on the 10 where they don't really do that and putting the flag up when someone kicks a goal, which again, surely we can figure out if a goal's been kicked or not.
There's only been a couple of touchies in recent years that I've had any respect for because most of them, you just see like that many forward passes out of dummy half and like, I'm just like, what are you actually doing? What are you looking at? And, Jake Friend has made a career out of that. And the only ones that I had any respect for were actually refs, like on-field refs that got relegated to the sideline. Gavin Badger, he did a good job when he was a touchy. And Brett Sutter as well. He was probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Is that the ringer?
Yeah.
Is that a shout out to a mate?
Yeah, 100.
There you go, Brett.
What do you reckon the end result's going to be, Brad? What do you think they're looking for?
Consistency, but they also like I've seen that thing that Gus said the other day. He said he's heard 5 different reasons about litigation, about player welfare, about this, that, and the other, and the games that we cancelled. All they want is consistency, and they want less in the news, less in the press and the media about injuries. And like, look at the start of this season. Like I can name Jake Friend, Boyd Cordner, a couple, Keary, all these players out for extended periods of time because of the HIA and the concussions. And I think all they want to do, and it's getting big because I saw today the RLPA has banned the players from voting and commenting. And I think Volandi's what he's doing is a little bit. I don't know. I don't agree with it, but I don't know why I don't agree with it.
I think it's just the way that they've gone
what
about it. It makes it
yeah.
hard to agree with. Yeah.
And it's like Gus said in his rant, just I posted on my Instagram stories that he every year that he sees the same thing. He sees the game changing and he sees change coming to the game. But this year it's not good, man. Like it's you could have waited till after Origin and or even at the end of the season, the post the grand final before the off season when teams had the off season and the beginning of next season to work on their tackle technique. But all of a sudden they put these rules into place before Origin. Like what they want to do is ultimately help the players and help player welfare and health and not have people get hurt over and over again. But that's what they want. But they've done it. The timing could not have been worse.
That's where I agree with you as far as the timing is. To stop this from happening, you have to change your technique when you're tackling. Like that's the only way of getting around it. Whereas you pretty much don't aim higher than sort of mid chest, and that sort of area between the hips and the mid chest. You can't be expected to do that mid-year, and essentially 1 week it was all good, and then the next week it's completely changed. You need that off season to change your habits and the way that you go about doing stuff. Doing it now just makes zero sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the problem is that if it's there for the players' protection, then you can't justify saying, "Well, we'll wait till next year to protect the players." Can you? You got to just do it.
That's what they're saying.
They already are. That's the thing, though. They are protecting the players because they've got all these concussion rules and everything. And the thing that I think, like, I get it. I get that there is concussion. The CTE stuff's really bad, and it is affecting people later on in their lives. But you can't get away from it when it's a contact sport. So everyone goes on about, like some people don't agree with the argument of you get paid a shitload of money, you choose to do this as a career. It sort of comes with the territory. But
that's right.
At the end of the day, unless you completely change the game and make it semi-contact where you see those opposed sessions and stuff where it's more of a run up and sort of get grabbed and put on the ground softly and all that sort of stuff. Unless you do that, you're not going to change it because you can take away contact with the head, but you get just as bad as a concussion if someone snaps you and your head goes forward and back without touching anything. It's without whiplash.
What about the defenders going low, copping hip to the head?
Yeah,
well, that's also, what Cordner and Friend have copped is like their concussions were from tackling.
Exactly.
There are defensive concussions. Like, you're dead right. What do you reckon of it all, Brett?
It can go either way. I mean, I do like the new style of game where the closest thing you'll see to 90s footy with unless we can tell them to start wearing loose jerseys again, that this is the closest you'll get to back then. They need to reward the legs tackle if they're going to bring this in. Like,
I was going to say that, yeah.
They need to make it now a dominant tackle if it's a leg tackle.
Yeah,
because with the speed of the game, if you're doing a legs tackle, if you can't hold on,
a handover.
It's got to ban offloads.
Yeah.
You get tackled by the legs, handover.
Yeah.
Straight to jail.
Yeah. Straight to jail. That's then you're going to see more people kicking out, like the old Latrell boot to the face, and wrong time of the year to bring it in. But if they want people tackling lower, there has to be a reward, because the last 15 years has been hold the player up, hold the ball, and not tackle low because you're going to give away a quick play of the ball.
And Brett, you and I both.
That's the thing.
Sorry, I'll hold you one more. You and I are both cricket enthusiasts, Brett. So I was talking to a mate today, and he's like, it's like England coming to Australia and waiting to the third test in Perth, and they ban the bouncer.
Yeah, it's
like, why? It's like the bouncer is such a strategic thing in cricket that it gets wickets, because the next ball you guarantee is going to be a Yorker or a good ball outside off stump. But what they're saying as well, and Paul Gallen said it pretty well the other night, is rugby league is so unpredictable and it changes every millisecond. So it's what we were talking about before we went on air. I've always wanted to say that. Is TPJ and Radley. If you look at it closely, Radley was always committed to hitting TPJ. Like, he had that rapey look in his eye. Whatever. I'll go with it. Rapey look in his eye. TPJ changed the ball from left to right arm or right to left arm and almost shouldered He went in with his shoulder at Radley,
charged
like to
him,
protect
yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
It was like a protective.
That's the thing. It's so bizarre.
Ridiculous.
If you
That's a
have the ball,
ridiculous
you can
accusation.
Pretty much do whatever you want.
Cleanest player.
Well, no, you see the players now that get charged for holding the forearm up to the throat. But I think one thing they have to do, just going back to the tackling styles and this new rule interpretations, players staying down trying to get the penalty. Now, I'm not saying if you get hit high, you should go for a HIA, but if the referee doesn't call a high tackle, then it's probably not that bad. If you stay down and you can't get up and play the ball, you should have to go for a HIA.
Yeah.
That will
they
stop.
brought that in.
That'll stop milk.
Start with the HIA. They said if you lay down and you seem like you are unable to get up, then you immediately off. But I don't know. The clubs have found some way to
bring that back.
It's because they can almost use that as a free interchange. If they got a forward that's feeling tired, he's just got to stay down.
Only if it's put on report. So if it's one of those ones, even if the tackle doesn't get put on report, you still have to go for your HIA. So you run the risk of wasting an interchange, and especially if it's someone like Munster or Cleary, they're not going to stay down at the risk that they would have gone 15 minutes. So that's a way to get out of the game.
And that makes me think of an interesting way to reinterpret the current rule. We've already floated the idea that maybe they should drop it back to a 5-minute sin bin. But the other option is that should it only be a sin bin if there's an HIA necessary? Then
it brings into the victim. It might be easier to put Cordner in for a head knock than Justin Olam. Good luck putting him in the HIA bin.
I just find with rules like that, there's so much grey area. Clubs will figure out a way to expose it somewhere.
It's a funny situation because the way they're currently doing it, it's just not right. Losing a player for 10 minutes for your forearm bouncing off the ball and then copping them on the cheek, and they barely even react to it these days. Well, now they're starting to react a lot more because they want that penalty. But whatever they're doing now, it just doesn't feel right. They've got to look at it.
It's been spoken about a lot in previous years, mostly probably from what I've heard from Matty Johns, as far as the interchange and bringing in that fatigue in the game. I feel like that's probably a big one that they need to really look at. Maybe even going back to, I don't know if Union still does it, but they definitely used to, where if you went off, that was it. You're off. There's no interchange system. Like if you come off the ground, you're off the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, I guess some people aren't really in for it because of the fatigue and injuries and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like if you shorten that interchange to, I think, 4 or something like that, have it so there's much less interchange, bring the fatigue back in. But I also think changing the 10-metre rule to a 5-metre rule to stop that, those 15-metre run-ups and collisions, will change the game dramatically and with no real effect to people watching at home.
Yeah, we are getting very close to touch footy.
They have to do something that's drastic that isn't what they're doing.
Yeah, but can you imagine if it was a 5-metre rule? I mean, if you get a good kick into the corner of the rush defence, most teams aren't reaching their 20. If it's a 5-metre ruck, if you get a kick into the corner, most of the times you'll force them back for a dropout.
Yeah, but the chances of you getting that kick away is probably way less than if you have someone coming from 10 metres. You got way less time to do.
Or you can just get them 10 metres behind the ruck.
I actually think the 5-metre rule would work well with the 6 again rule because it introduces that extra fatigue, and that's where you're going to see some of these awesome plays coming due to fatiguing players and reduce the interchange. Basically take it back to 1908 or something.
It's almost has to do that because the players are just every single person that goes on there are clever freak athletes. Like the majority of them aren't even tired after the game. You see them barely breaking a sweat. It's just you have to bring
that. They're saying it's a quicker game this year and they're getting gassed quicker.
I mean,
Make
they
them smoke
are,
a pack a day.
but they can sustain that though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I mean, they will, but there has to be some sort of fatigue brought back into the game where
this is the problem with having a game played by professional athletes. You know, we grew up watching guys playing after they've been working a full time job during the week.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
and they're relying on their skills to get them through 80 minutes of football and limited interchange. And then now it's just like, it's just these elite athletes, and that's the way it goes with most team sports now, is that you don't need to find a kid that's really skillful and then train them to be an athlete. You got to find an athlete and then you teach them how to play footy.
yeah, exactly, yeah. It's very true. All right, well, going on that theme of the 90s, we'll move on into our top 3 5/8s. Obviously, every week we're doing our top 3 positions. We sort of base it on our era, so essentially from about 1990, and go through our top 3s of people that we've seen. So we'll start with our new fella, Brett. We've got our top 3 5/8s.
Right. It was pretty tough to narrow it down to 3. So I got
Lockyer.
well, it's when you have him at 1 and Daylight at 2nd, it's got to have
Fairly
one.
true.
Yeah.
Fairly true.
No, for 3, it was tough to leave out Adam Dewey. No, it was tough to.
He's the center. He's the
We
center.
do know you're a big fan.
Moving on. It was tough leaving out Fittler because he was so dominant throughout. But I'm going to add in the one current player at my number 3 with Munster.
Yeah, that's fair.
Purely.
Goal kicking.
Goal kicking specialist.
What he did in Origin 3 last year was just, what
for 2 games.
What you hear people talk about Wally Lewis. The stuff everything he did, it was just dominant. His all around game is just great. If you were signing up someone for a long, you'd be more than happy to get him to your club to start it up. And a maniac on the piss, so he's obviously ideal for the club. Number 2, Thurston. Obviously played a tough one, half his career at 5'8", half at 7. Early days, 6, moved to 7 when Lockyer went, especially for Queensland. The show and go, everything about him, clutch goal kicking, future immortal. And the same for clearly a number 1, and I expect him to be there for everyone. Is Lockyer. He changed the way fullbacks played, brought him up into 5'8", best in the world there. And even after that, he turned himself into a bit of a halfback after he did his knee in 2000, whatever it was. When he did his knee, around that time, he turned from that running 5'8" to just the organizer. And then they were having guys like Tunza at 6, and they could put forward there at 6 because he would just do everything himself. So
I think we had Thaiday at 6 in one game.
You could put Tronk at 6 with Lockyer and you'd be fine. But pretty easy decision.
Speaking of dominant tackles,
it shows you what a dominant half Lockyer was when he won a premiership with Shane Perry.
Yeah.
No offense, Shane.
Shane, if you're listening,
he can't afford this.
It's all right. It's all right. He's no longer the worst halfback to ever win a premiership, thanks to Chad Townsend.
And he'd be captain coach of the current Broncos team.
True.
Off topic, but Townsend got dropped this weekend for Sean Johnson.
Sure did.
Good call.
Might be the Cowboys earlier than 2022.
Off topic as well. Apparently, Jake Clifford's going to the Newcastle Knights in 2 weeks' time because Blake Green retired.
Oh, he retired, yeah.
But I expect you to hear about Blake Green tomorrow anyway, Hodgie. Who's next?
It is good to see that both the Cowboys star recruits are in reserve grade next week. Things are on the up.
Don't be throwing fucking rocks over there, mate.
Ambush.
Money Milford coming back for his fucking 4th time this year in the first grade.
Yeah, it's only because Gamble's bloody suspended.
$1 million on a park.
Brad.
So I'm the same. I've got Lockyer, in no particular order, Lockyer, and Thurston. But for my Smoky, I've gone someone who, regardless of what club he went to, and I'll open the floor soon to having guesses at who it is. Regardless of what club he went to, he didn't always have the best halfback with him, but he just had a awesome kicking game, goal kicker, horrible tackler. Used to miss 10 tackles a game some games, but played for New Zealand, Penrith, and the Roosters, and I went with James Maloney, number 3.
Oh, James Maloney.
You missed Storm, and played for Storm as well.
Shut up, Alan. So, did he?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
It's tough because whenever you think a former Storm player, generally they suck. So
yeah,
easy to forget that he went there.
Yeah. So anyway, anyway, for my number 3 this week, it's Brody Croft. So
I
wonder if
he's done wonders at Souths.
So I've gone James Maloney as one of my all-time 5'8s because I didn't quite catch all of Wally's career. I'd love to say Wally. I didn't quite catch all of his career, but what I did see of all James Maloney's career is that even for the Blues and Australia, he's just
winner, mate. He was just a winner. He went to clubs. He wasn't the
yeah.
biggest bloke, but just whatever he brought to, like, he did have a lot of probably negatives in his game as far as like defense and all that sort of stuff, and
throwing boots
could
in the
make
crowd.
some howler mistakes, but yeah, just a winner.
Yeah.
I think wasn't it Penrith was the only team that he went to that didn't play a grand final.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But how much would he have helped Cleary in those early years?
Massive, massive,
unbelievable.
So his impact is still there.
Yeah, huge.
Cool.
Right, Stocks, we got.
Yeah, so my number 1 is also Lockyer for all the reasons that Brett and Brad brought up. But the key reason for Lockyer is that he was a leader that, like, when Lockyer was playing, the team was never out of the game. He was he had that ability to lift a team, and the 2 big examples of that would be the 2006 preliminary final against the Bulldogs, where the Broncos were down 20-6 at half time, and having read his biography about 50 times, he got them in the tunnel after Willie Mason was hanging shit on him, saying, "Thanks, boys, we're off to a grand final." And he just said, "We're not fucking losing this game. We're going to the grand final. Sort your shit out," sort of thing. And then they come out and win the game 37-20. And
we saw that game, didn't we?
We were at that game. Hodgie and I, you and I were at that game, yes. And the second game was Game 3, 2006 State of Origin, where Queensland are about to go four in a row series losses. The Blues have just scored a try off a gigantic Brett Hodgson knock on. I don't know if you remember that, the bomb where it just goes boom, and then
off his chest,
and then Eric Groth runs it in for a try. Anyway, there's no chance we're winning this game, and you even see this is early days Origin for Thurston. I think it was his 2nd or 3rd series, and you see him sort of hanging his head, and then you see Lockyer saying, "No, let's go," and also mentioned in that same autobiography, Thurston was interviewed and he said, Lockyer told us, "Pick yourselves up. This game's not over yet." And then boom, Thurston puts a move on, puts Brent Tate into a bit of space and he scores. And then Lockyer gets that famous intercept at the end of the game. And yeah, Clinton Shavkovsky puts the 2 points on the board for the series win, which started the 8 in a row. So that's
ruled my life for best part of decades.
I still remember being nervous watching him line that kick up.
Yeah, it's right in front.
Right in front. I'm like, oh, give it to Lockyer.
Yeah, please. Or Thurston. God, Thurston's right there.
Try watching that highlight with that intercept without getting goosebumps or an erection.
It does it to me every time.
I was going to say, out of blood, how much blood do you have at the moment, Stocks?
I just need to calm down a bit.
Face is a bit white.
More than I have over Matt Bird.
Stocksy's garage light just came on. Oh, that's his face.
What have you brought to this podcast, Brett? Jesus.
Anyway,
Never going well.
so number 2 for me is Freddie. Absolute gem of a 5'8". He was the same sort of leader, but he had so much skill as well. I'm assuming, Hodgie, you've got a bit to say on Freddie, so I'll skim over that a little bit. But my number 3, also a current player, is Benji Marshall. He just came onto the scene and lit the game up with like all this flair and these flick passes and shit like that. And then as the years went on, he's readjusted his game to be a real ball playing half, and he's just got like brilliant vision now. Like so we've seen him be 2 sorts of brilliant 5'8". So that's why I went with Benji.
Yeah, so all solid top 3s. I'm assuming that next week you won't have JT in your halfbacks, Bradley.
There's a reason why I've left JT out this week. So
I left him out as well.
JT's in my front row as well. Fuck off.
All right, so
front row at Brisbane Casino.
I don't think my top 3 are going to be too surprising. No particular
order.
Travis Burns.
I met Travis Burns. He's a gun. These are in no particular order. I'm not going to go 1, 2, or 3. I can probably safely say that everyone's, or like the combined number 1 is Lockyer. There's no real denying how good he was. Obviously, his transition from fullback to 5'8" sort of created the path for God knows how many people to make that move. Super successful in both positions. I probably knew him a little bit more as a 5'8", which is why I didn't have him in my fullbacks. But yeah, just again, like we talk about Jimmy Mulaney being a winner. Like you look at Lockyer and it's like probably a different kind of winner, but just like you said, Stocksy just had that way of rallying the troops. He's got 2 matches. That's crazy. The rest is going to be screwed.
Oh, it's rough in New South Wales as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah, 2 matches. Game 1's going to be suck balls.
And you know the stats on game 1, Hodgie. If you don't win if you don't win game 1, then you've got a very little chance of winning the series.
How long you had that one in your back pocket? Waiting for an opportunity. You never pressed that button quicker.
He was at PT this morning going, I can't wait for tonight.
I had my finger on that button.
Just read it on I just read it in a packet of footy cards, and I just said, "Fuck, I gotta get this out."
Anyway, so back to my top 3. For some reason, my top 3 gets interrupted every single week. Lockyer. Obviously, he's up there. He's probably our combined number 1.
Did he win the Golden Boot in 2 different positions?
I think he did. No Dally. no Dally.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Award.
My next one is Freddie. Obviously,
obviously, and leave it at that.
Played a lot of positions. Started in centre. Played a bit of lock, and obviously 5'8". Started at Penrith. Filthy that he went to the Roosters, but what a career! He was one of the youngest guys at the time to play in a grand final in the early 90s. I don't know what to say about him, to be honest. He's just a gun. Seems like a good bloke. I've actually fun stat about Freddie in my under-6s trophy presentation when I played for the Ashcroft Stallions. I think it was 1990, he was one of the, they used to get football players to come around all the junior leagues and hand out all the trophies. And he was that one. Him and...
is that a stat, or is that just like a...
Probably not a stat. More of a...
I'll pay it.
Fact. It was him and front row from Tigers at the time.
Okay.
No, the other one.
Which year? Oh, Sirenen. No, he's
Sirenen,
back.
yeah. Sarah, yes, back row. Sorry. Yeah, it was them two. And
Are you
Jason Taylor actually used to play for that club, and he was there as well. But he was like young as.
MG as well?
My next one is Laurie Daly. Again, played a few different positions, but definitely through the 90s, more so at Origin level. I've never really been a fan of the Raiders, but definitely at Origin level was just a gun. He sort of, I feel like he had that sort of same sort of thing that Lockie did at that Origin level, as far as like rallying the troops together. I like how he let that one just slide.
I like how Stocksy got close to the camera. He's like,
all right.
Can't hear what you're saying, you old man.
But yeah, so my top three are Lockie, Freddie, and Laurie Daly.
Yeah, Loz was on my unlucky list with Kevy Walters. So
I actually did that. I did those three quite fast, and was like, oh, it's kind of weird that they came to me so easy. But then once you start looking into it, Jesus, there's a group to pick from.
But how good they are. I mean, those three would have played in an Australian team together. Fullback, centre, 5'8", lock. Like they mix them around.
Yeah, easily.
They all would have played many rep games
easily.
together.
But you remember those 90s Origin games where there was so many so much shifting of halves, just because they were, you know, every year to year it was who's going to be the best this year, sort of, and you know,
at one stage Andrew Johns couldn't even.
Yeah, he was playing hooker.
In some games he couldn't even get that. He was coming off the bench.
Yeah, behind Tuvey and Kamali.
Yeah, that's
and
bizarre.
And it was an insane time, and it's really like I really liked that, because they were always picking on form, whereas you know these days it's always just like it's yours until you lose
and everything. Yeah. Which I don't
except for that 8-year period where New South Wales were changing their halves 6 times a game.
Went through 600 players in 4 years.
I think they had fucking Gaznia playing in the halves for one game.
They ruined themselves. Like back earlier, I had this discussion with Dave today. They ruined Mullen when they picked him when he was 19.
Oh, dude!
I mean, they pick him for one and never pick him again. That's the you see the talk about picking Walker or Walsh for Queensland. You don't want to do what New South Wales did to a handful of their halves. Pick them once.
I don't know who's even had that idea. Where did even Walker or Walsh come into the conversation?
I don't know. They had this person had floaties on, was drooling a little bit, but
I've heard Walsh been speaking about.
It was either Dave Standing or Buzz Rothfield.
Yeah,
he'd be so. Now, fellas, what you gonna want? You're gonna want Chad Townsend playing in there for Queensland. Yeah, he's a New South Welshman, Buzz. Oh yeah, but you don't know. Sometimes you can find them going either way, can't you?
I wasn't going to mention that to Dave, but I actually looked at the Queensland eligible players, and Walsh wasn't even on there, so I don't know who he's declared for.
He's a Kiwi, isn't he? A Kiwi?
I think he's Aboriginal Maori.
He must have declared for Kiwis. And
I don't know, but he's not on the Queen. Maybe it's because he was only on a developmental deal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
QRL don't even think about picking him and just leave it for weirdos.
Look, let's just fucking English him and be done with the conversation, yeah?
If we're going to English someone, where do I start? Cleary, how's he going? Is Cleary?
Imagine the memes.
No.
He lived in New Zealand for a little while, so that kind of classifies him.
Who did? Oh, yeah, because his dad sucked as a coach over there. That's right.
Yeah, bad.
No, wasn't that the Tigers?
It was
Bit of column B.
Ivan sucked at Penrith previously as well. So.
Yeah, he got sacked from there.
Yeah. Old Gussie boy.
Anyway.
All right, let's move into
Red. Know who the stronger Cleary is. Oh, can we just do a quick before we go into tips? Yeah. Can we just do? So obviously we had a bit of bad news in the rugby league world this week with the passing of Bob Fulton. He's a rugby league immortal and an absolute legend of the game. So I thought I'd dig up a bit of history and some stats on him if you want to humour me on this. So. Bob Fulton, or Bozo as he was known, he was born in Warrington in the UK in 1947. He played predominantly as a centre or a 5'8", and played 219 games for Manly between 1966 and 1976. He also played a season for Warrington over in the UK, played 16 games for them in 69-70. And then he famously left Manly and went to Easts for 3 years and played 50 games for them. He also played 17 games for City in City versus Country and 16 games for New South Wales in the state rep, like the pre-origin era, and 35 tests for Australia. And while playing for Australia, he won 3 World Cups. So for Manly, he scored 129 tries for Manly, which was the club record until Beaver Menzies broke that. He kicked 10 goals for the club, but he kicked 57 field goals in his time at Manly over 10 years. Yeah.
How much were they worth back then?
They were worth 2 points back then.
Points,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
It used to be a fairly regular thing.
From inside 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
57 field goals. So that's a big number. So he won 3 premierships with Manly in 72, 73, and 76. And he also was the youngest ever captain in a grand final in 1968, when he captained Manly in a 13-9 loss to Souths at age 21.
True.
Yeah, that was his second season. After he retired, he got into coaching. He coached Easts from 1980 to 1982 for 78 games and won 48 of them. So it's pretty decent record.
Yeah.
Then he went to Manly as coach from 83 to 88, and then again from 93 to 99 for a total of 305 games, which he won 204 of. So
did you say he finished coaching in 99?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He coached for ages. Yeah.
And he was also the Australia coach from 1989 to 1998. He coached 39 tests, which we won 32 of. So he coached Manly to 4 grand finals in 83. 5 grand finals, 83, 87, 95, 96, and 97. And he won in 87 and 96. So he was the first person to win a premiership as a player and a coach for the club. So in 1968, so when he was early on in his career, he actually got conscripted during the Vietnam War.
I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got conscripted into the army and as an artilleryman, and he was effectively exempted from active service by being posted to the School of Artillery in Manly as a physical training instructor or PTI. And my wife's uncle actually was an artilleryman and who had him as an instructor while he was at the School of Artillery himself. So they did that. So he was actually like working for the army during the week and then playing for Manly on the weekends still. But he did actually get a bit of active service when he went on the HMAS Sydney to take the troops through PT on their way over to South Vietnam. So that's basically it. The other big thing is that he was one of the original 4 Immortals, along with Clive Churchill, Johnny Raper, and Reg Gasnier. But what a career he had, and yeah, he's definitely a deserving immortal and an absolute legend of the game. And actually, his 2 sons, Scott and Brett, also both played first grade for Manly. Scott played 49 games and Brett only played 2. But yeah, so there's a little history of Bob Fulton.
On Fox League, the other day they had a whole bunch of, it's like pretty much a day dedicated to them where they played a whole heap of games. And it's so bizarre to watch those games like back in the black and white era and stuff, like how it's just so, I don't know, I hate to sound like a wanker saying it, but there's something like really pure about how the game was played at that time. It's crazy.
I agree. I watched the 73 grand final yesterday against Cronulla, and it was called the Bloodbath grand final, and he basically won that himself. Like he was man of the match, and it was good to watch. Yeah, like, and so many legs tackles. They didn't know what offloading. There's no such thing as offloading back then.
That and the wingers used to get the ball and just run down the sideline. If they got taken out, they got taken out. It's like, oh, whatever. Just hand
Oh,
the
the
ball
kick,
over.
the kicking battles.
Yeah, straight off the kickoff, kick the ball down. All right, boys, we'll get into round 12 tips. I'll basically just go.
Sorry, I just wanted to say one more thing, about the kicking. Is they used to kick for touch. They put it on the ground, they do the old schoolyard, dig a little trench with your heel in and sit the ball on
kick
it
off the ground.
and they kick it off the ground when they're kicking for touch for a penalty.
You can actually still do that now.
Yeah, you still can. Yeah,
You can kick
still
for touch
yeah.
from a place kick.
Yeah,
Which probably wouldn't be so bad. But I don't know whether
insane.
you can get the tee to come in and whatnot. But
Oh,
Yeah.
you'd be booed for sure.
so many
100%.
toe pokes in that era.
Yeah.
It'd be
It's
some
all about the toe poke.
it'd be some idiot like Corey Norman try and bring it back like it's cool. Like, fuck off, mate. Make a tackle,
Alright.
you clown. Round 12.
Right, round 12 tips. I'll go through all the games and then I'll just ask you boys for who you're going to tip. So first up, we got Storm Broncos. Brett?
Pass.
Storm.
Storm.
You dog.
Welcome to the show.
Alan, who are you tipping, brother?
Yeah, Storms.
Bradley?
Storms.
All right,
We have
we'll go
it's at Suncorp. Storm Broncos haven't beaten Storm at Suncorp since 2010, I believe. So,
Can we play
Is
it
that
at
true?
Sydney?
eh?
Oh, we haven't beat them at home in a long time. We'll play
No,
in
no,
Sydney.
no, over 10 years, we haven't
Hey.
beaten them.
Hey, Brett, do you want to go to the game?
I'm no.
Is he? All right, next one. We've got Cowboys and Warriors. Brett again.
I'm Cowboys.
Bradley.
Going Cowboys, but I've got reasons to suspect they're going to lose this.
There's a lot of 50-50 games in this round.
This
actually.
is the first of the 50-50s, and it is at Townsville. But no JT, no Burr, who's been a very silent
He's been gone a few years.
performer. No Lachlan Burr, who's been really, really good for us. But I don't know. The Warriors want to keep gambling on this Walsh at fullback, and two of us are on the wing, and it keeps sort of working. That's what has me worried.
Stocksy.
Yeah, I'm going Warriors.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Or I'm going Cowboys. Dragons, Tigers, Brett.
Do we lead them to victory? Tigers,
Tigers.
13 plus.
Bradley.
Ooh.
13 plus. Big call.
Ooh.
Bradley.
Is Dufty back this weekend?
Yeah, I believe so.
If you
Although
18 plus.
he's actually Dufty's getting shipped, and they've said that
Yeah.
they're not going to renew his contract, and they're
They want
after
Nico Hines.
Nico Hines.
Nico Hines.
We'll take
I
that.
just-
Broncos
I just love
have a
saying
bit of competition.
I just love saying Nico Hines.
It's so dangerous signing a player from the Storm
I
system.
don't even
though.
know who he plays for. Tigers.
He's not back either as well. Ramsey's at fullback.
Oh, he's not.
I'm going Tigers.
Is Corey Norman available?
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
playing. That's
All right, Tigers.
another reason. Yeah. And
I
Gerard Beale makes his comeback.
Oh, fuck that motherfucker.
who's that?
Jared Beale.
Jared Beale and
Breaker
Ashton
of
Sims
faces.
are still banned from Brisbane.
I had Dragons, but I think I'm going to change it. Penrith and Dogs, Brett.
I reckon the Dogs might give you a run for Penny.
Yeah, that's.
Penny,
I think we'll see the biggest line ever on Sportsbet. Like the line should be 48.
Well,
I think it's 26 today.
Penrith are only paying
Easy money.
$1, which is as short as it comes. But I don't think the Bulldogs aren't paying that much, I don't think.
I reckon they could get
26.
Gus.
I'll say not that much, but
I reckon
They're
Penny could get
$19.
Penny could get Gus playing fullback, and they would still win by 60 in this game. It's going to
They
be
can put all four of us in there and keep us on for 80 minutes, even if we were to sit out in the corner for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we'll just
Still win.
yeah, we'll just
play
hide.
4 men down technically.
Yeah, we'll just hide. They'll probably just put people in the sin bin. They say just bin us, like as a joke.
Hodgie.
See how good we can go.
Hodgie. Penrith times 4. Next game.
Yeah, free spins, free spins on Penrith.
Eels and Bunnies, Brett.
I don't rate Para. I'm going to go, even though they've had 140 put on the last 3 weeks, I'll go Rabbitohs.
That's Bradley.
That's a good stat.
Oh, is it?
So,
It's a guess, so I don't know if it's true. So
Oh, okay.
no, I
Right,
think
well,
it's. I'm pretty sure it's legit. Yeah.
I'm going to retract that.
I'm going.
Man.
I'll win it.
I'm going. I'm going Bunnies. Cam Murray's
Bunnies?
back. Jacob Host, a couple others, and they're going to be keen to.
Cam Murray's a big in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
massive.
Big for New South Wales too.
Yeah, Latrell,
Yes.
Cody, Adam Reynolds, and Cook especially need a big game, and I reckon this is the game they're going to bring it. Plus,
Cook needs
Cook
a
needs
plus-
a massive game.
yeah, plus RCG's out, and coming up to Origin, I know Latrell, Cody, and Cook are going to be. Yeah, so I've gone
Line for
Bunnies.
positions.
Bunnies close though, not a blowout or anything. So
Soxy.
Hang on, just let me check the para team list real quick.
One thing to look at is that left edge against Waka Blake, who
let in 3 tries last week. Yeah,
He's
Sivo-
Rubbish.
Sivo's playing, so he'll be defending that edge, won't he? So that'll be about 50 tries to South.
no, he'll be on the left. So it'll be
Ferguson.
Virgo and Waka Blake,
Fair
Wanga-
go, yeah, on the
Waka
right
Wanga.
side, yeah.
Dwayne Blake, yeah.
who they're horrendous.
So sad that he left Penrith, loser.
Still got.
So you got Bunnies, Stocksy?
Ferguson, yeah, definitely Bunnies.
Bunnies. I've actually gone Para, so we'll see how that goes. Roosters.
You're a
and
closet Gutho lover.
Spread.
Yeah, Roosters.
Is that top knot? Doesn't for me.
Something's happened at Raiders, so Roosters.
Well, George Williams has just been granted an immediate release, or allegedly, he seems to deny any knowledge of it.
Yeah, it's a blow up.
Yeah.
Does anyone rate him
I
that
think-
highly?
I think he was
all
good when
right.
he first came in.
He-
but
he was good last
very-
year.
Yeah.
Well, he obviously doesn't want to be there, so
Yeah. Sam Williams is arguably an upgrade for him.
yeah.
He played well last week.
Hmm.
Like obviously, the
Well, he's
team
always
shit,
he's
but-
always been that
Solid.
good depth player.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brad, who you going?
No Radley, no Crichton.
so easily still.
Stocksy.
Yeah, they'll be stinging from losing to the Broncos. So surely Nick Politis has had a word to the referees, boss, and so there's no way that they're going to lose this week.
And it's
Throw
the big-
around brown
but let-
lunchbags.
but let's have a look at it too. The biggest matchup in that one is Trent versus Ricky.
Yeah. I've got the Roosters as well. Titans and Sharks, right?
Titans.
This
Bradley.
is
Because why,
this is-
Brett? Because who is that fullback for the Titans? Future and immortal in AJ who?
Brian Kelly. They moved him to the back.
What the Dons at at fullback? Yeah.
Who you going for, Brad?
Titans.
Who you tipping?
Titans.
Stocksy.
Yeah, it's a Sharks home game, but they're playing at Coffs Harbour, aren't they? So I'm going to go Titans.
And Fafita's back too.
Yeah, but he's nothing.
I've got
Remember
this
when
one.
we played him?
D for feeder too, not a hole for feeder.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
and that-
Cronulla. Was
Yeah,
it?
dog
Someone
for
said the other day
sort of
the Kmart version of kick out.
Yeah. What a dickhead. As if he'd get that head.
Oh,
Then the last game of the round, Manly and Knights. And Ponga's back this week.
Manly by plenty. Still, don't care if there's 10 pongers on the field.
Bradman Best back
I
too.
tend to agree.
I shot my shot.
So this I've been bringing this up every week that the Knights have fucked my tips every single week so far. Whatever I tip in the Knights game, the opposite happens. So I'm worried that Manly are going to get fucking decimated here because I'm tipping Manly.
If Turbo's fit,
And,
Manly win.
yeah.
So
I'm
he's
going.
probably going to do an ACL, fucking putting his socks on now.
That'd be so good. Oh, maybe just a hammy for Kim out of Origin, but he's the best player. I think it's not even debatable about being the best fullback. I think
Definitely.
pretty clearly he's the best fullback, and
If he had
Probably the
played,
best
if he had played every game this year, then he'd be giving Cleary a run for his money for down the end.
He's not that far beyond. He's not too far.
I think he's 5 or 6 points behind, and he missed half the year.
Like 4 games, I think.
And he's playing with 7 reserve graders.
Insane.
All right, boys. That's pretty much it. Good pod. Good one back. Thanks, Brett, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
We'll keep you on the books in case someone falls down again. We need a replacement.
As long as Dave pays my rate again, that's fine.
Yeah. We'll just do a quick plug to the socials. We've got a Facebook page now. I'm sure most people know about it. Last time I checked, we're sitting at 249 likes. So one more would be great if we get to 250. That'd be fantastic.
Special prize. There's a special prize for like number 250.
But also not a special prize then.
Well, it's a shout out. So.
I'm actually pretty glad.
Hodgie's gonna create a second Facebook page for a shout out.
And so we've got a couple of, obviously can't go through all the new Facebook people in the last week because there's a shitload of them. But new Insta followers, Michael Richardson, In-House Studios. I don't know what they do. They're probably just trying to get a follow.
Yeah. No, In-House my boys.
Andy Adam. Codes from I play footy with him. Huge para fan, so he's a loser. This Joe A says on his bio that he's a US Marine Corps vet, and he's not sort of linked to anyone, but apparently he's also known as Jojo. So cheers, Jojo. Sean
Semper Fi, Jojo
McSorley. Wait, did I say Sean's last name properly? McSorley. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Shawnee. The other Penrith guy.
Supporter.
The other Penrith guy.
Absolute champion. Joey Woodbury. AJ, which I believe is Talia's mum.
From
Stando's wife's mother. And KJ Wilson had a great game for the women's defence.
But also a quick shout out to John Lister. He's going to be on the show next week. Massive para fan.
Oh, yeah.
And looking forward to having him on. Been a tough week for him, obviously, with the Manly game. So if you're listening or when you listen, John, I'm sorry for tipping South this week. But yeah, thanks for following, boys.
Yeah, and another big thanks to Brett, mate. You've slotted in for Dave nicely, and
he might not get his spot back.
Yeah, I don't think we want him back at this stage.
I like the pun there too with the slotting in.
Ding, 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 ding.
He made my shape my head. I'm not going bald at all. He made me shape my head just for filling in. So
he was very fiery about that. Actually,
very adamant. I normally have a full head of hair, and he was adamant.
He's a bit of a joker, Dave, but I've never seen him more serious when we were discussing that. So.
Cheers for joining in again. Thanks again, Brett. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Brett.
I'm sure we'll get you on again through the year. And we'll see you guys next week.
I'll see you Friday night, Brett. Storm game. I'll see you there.
Yes.
See you then.